That's not TA. That's nothing. That's just ridiculous. There will not be 9 green candles in a row because it hasn't happened since 2010. So in modern price history, it hasn't ever happened. So there have been no times of 9 green daily candles in a row, similar to my infamous, which actually ended up working out, even though I was mocked by it, but similar to Bitcoin's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It had never had 7 green months in a row. Therefore, I was pretty certain that this was going to be a red month and the beginning of some type of downturn. So just like that worked, because it's never done it before and it worked the first time, well, everybody was pretty much bullish still, looking for continuation. What I said in my tags from yesterday's video about I am pretty certain that this day will be a red day. It might be a doji red and then it might move up, but today's going to be a red day. So just know that, in your TA, starting off this video without an intro here, those sorts of things work. If something has never happened, especially with candle shapes, all right, candle shapes in general or candle shapes and colors, that is a form of TA because TA is simply statistical likelihoods, and you're interpreting statistical likelihoods of whether or not price will go up, down, or sideways. That's all that trading is. Therefore, things as basic as counting candles and saying, wait, a 9th has never happened. 9 green day has not happened since 2010, which is when Bitcoin did like crazy stuff because it was worth, pennies or under $1 or whatever the hell it was. So, this day closes in less than 4 hours, and we'll see how that works. Will this be the first time since 2010 that that there are 9 green candles in a row, or will it follow the strong statistical likelihood that it won't be green, right? So anyway, so this video is about the 9th day, all right? But nothing has necessarily changed from my video that I released yesterday because Bitcoin has not made up its mind. However, it's on the verge, not XVG, the John McAfee coin that he pumped, but it's on the edge of making a decision of which path among those 3 paths I laid out yesterday it's going to take. All right, so which chart? Well, there we go. All right, so let me zoom into the 15-minute, and all I'm going to keep on is the 200 EMA. Let me show you the chaos within the 4-hour candle. So again, what I'm doing here is I'm interpreting the power of the 4-hour chart with the 15-minute chart so that I can see more of the story within the 4-hour candle, right? I want to see the chaos within that 4-hour candle. Make sure I'm recording, and I think I am all good. All right, so what I did here was kind of like I did yesterday, I drew in the 4-hour 10 EMA because I really want to see price's reaction to it. Is it going to keep bouncing off of it? Yes, it is. And like I said in my video yesterday, I have a strong feeling that regardless of which move happens, whether it's going to blast up or come down, what will happen first is price will go below the 4-hour 10 EMA, hit this almost perfectly. So go back in the tags, and I actually have a tag saying 15-minute 200 EMA. So I said that. It's going to ping off of there, which could stimulate a move up to the 42K range or 43K. I don't think that would be enough to get Bitcoin all the way up to 46 or anything like that, but it could stimulate a move into the low 40s above the previous local high that we had on Bitcoin back here in, I think, June. Yeah, in June. That would propel us past that, which would invalidate all Wyckoff patterns. So if Bitcoin can get above, at least on this one, 4,000 or 41,350 roughly. Wyckoff distribution, accumulation, redistribution, it's now not in play. That's why I kind of leaned down a little bit, but I think that's one of the 3 most probable paths, or 4th most probable, but close enough to the top 3. And so the way that would look like is you would likely have a small amount of hesitation. So I think you'd get a strong move up to this green box. And that green box is between 40,300 and 40,200, let's say. So I think you have a strong move up to that box of $100 range here. 42 or 40,200 and 40,300. You have a little hesitation and then blast up for my path number 3. Path number 1, which I personally think is most probable here, is I think what we're going to see on the 15-minute chart is maybe not regardless of the 4-hour candle closure, which this 4-hour just squeaked out a closure above. So it had an end of candle push where at the very last 15 minutes, which is this candle here, price was below the 4-hour 10 for quite some time. And then at the last bit, let's close above, and it closed about $10 above the line, right? I still think it's going to head down even after that closure. I think that's smart bots trying to bait dumber bots to, stay in long positions or take on long positions before the move really gets figured out. But I could be incorrect. So I think that soon in path number 1, we'll see hesitation on the 15-minute chart below the 4-hour 10 EMA, which I've drawn in. And then after it gets rejected or goes past, comes back down, it'll then try another bounce off of the 15-minute 200 EMA and then fail that, get rejected, something like that, similar to the path I have drawn here. Similar to this path here. And really what I should do is something like this. Something more like that. So this would be path number 1, and I'll let you know of my targets down below here in a minute, personal targets. And then path number 2 would be like an extra baity type of deal. So I don't think this would be baiting humans necessarily, but hedge funds have algos, all that stuff. Smart algos try to bait the less sophisticated robots and algos into being bullish before the retracement down begins, or whatever down movement begins, or the opposite move. So I think that's my path number 2. Path number 3, which I think is third most probable, is this does stimulate the move up past 41,300 or whatever I said and invalidates Wyckoff. And it gets up to 42, 43K, something like that. And the reason why I'm so stuck on that line is because recently it's been getting all the moves pretty correctly. I mean, and so this blast off here, what do you think it hit off of first? Take a guess. Raise your hand first, though. Class, you must be polite. So a lot of this move came based off of that 15-minute line, came up shy this time, and then blasted off. On the Ethereum chart, the very first blast off was clearly a move above this orange line. So let me flip to Ethereum. I've already shown this a few times, but the importance of this line, I mean, is not small right now because it's getting a lot of right moves. A lot of moves right here. So this is Ethereum, 15-minute chart. You can see the beginning of Ethereum's move when it went to the bottom of the triangle when Bitcoin was 29,500. The move started with a break above the 15-minute 200 EMA, which is pretty close to the 4-hour 10, right? But this line, it allows you to see the chaos within the 4 hours. So you can see how on Ethereum, it's just respecting, but it looks like it's losing steam, and it's, I don't know. It looks like it's going to break down from there to me. All right. So, and this is Ethereum. Going back to Bitcoin, if I can remember which chart I was using. This one. This is what I'm looking for. These 3 paths. Okay. And I think it's going to start happening very soon. Within the next 4 to 12 hours. I think this is going to start, you're going to be able to see, hey, is it going to be one of these 2 guys, or is it going to be something more like path number 1? Tim's path number 1. You can't really see this very well, so let me change the color a little brighter. There we go. Path number 1. And so the resolution of which one this will be, I think it's starting right now, okay? It's still too early to determine which path it's going to take, but it could be any of the 3 still. but I think the move is happening now. Now, targets to the downside is in moves like this, oftentimes after a strong move, the first retest down is to the daily 10 EMA. It's extremely, extremely common. And the daily 10 EMA is coming in right around a 4-hour horizontal, which is the heights here and a little bit of the points of control or the bouncy points of the higher range. So you have two different ranges. So the yellow box is one range, the green box is another range, right? And so where they both merge is kind of like a middle point of control, but just above that, you still have a trend line where it had a lot of action. Not quite the middle point of control, but you had a lot of support, and you had the top resistances there. So the daily 10 EMA is right here right now, or approaching that, which a horizontal plus a common EMA for a retracement, for a bounce off to potentially continue to move up to 43K or whatever. Because you have two things there, EMA plus horizontal, this is one of my major targets, somewhere around 36.5 and 36K, like a wick pass type of deal, right? So if I'm in short positions now, or entering short positions soon, this is where I'd probably be looking to dump them and take my profits and reassess the situation, maybe stay out of trades and see how the smoke clears. If it's really going to charge back up, if it's going to keep charging down, I would reassess at that point. So that's my main target. But also, sometimes, retracements can come down. The first retracement can come down to the daily 21. So let's look in previous price history so you can see that happening during moves. And, we don't know if this is just going to be a failed rally or not. But let's just take a really strong move. So at the beginning of the strong move, very beginning, finally got above, went on a nice little run, 4 green candles in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is actually pretty similar. And then it came down to right on that 10 EMA, proved itself above, and blasted off again. Did it again, but in an even more bullish sideways up in action. That this is actually kind of a bullish action. Staying above the daily 10 in that formation, like this direction, that's pretty good. It's a lot better than coming down here and then approaching the 10 at a downward angle. So this 10 got a lot of play, okay, sprang up really aggressively, and then what happened what happened the next candle? A doji day. What's today going to close as? Probably a doji. What happened the day after? It flew down and did what? It touched the daily 10 EMA to the nose before moving back up. So let's take a look. Big green day. 4 green days in a row, ended by a doji, regardless of color. In my opinion, doji top stuff. I personally don't trade off the color. I just trade off the doji. But anyway, the next candle, it had to test the 10 before price was confident, or buyers were confident enough to keep this move going. And then after it touched the 10 EMA a few times, right, throughout this run, then it was touching the daily 21 as that point of correction. So both of these are common for retracements. And that's why I'm targeting that. So if Bitcoin, the interesting thing about this is that if Bitcoin takes a little longer to move down and retrace, whether that means it moves sideways first above the daily 200 EMA, which I don't have drawn in here, but it's about here. If it rides sideways and then moves up, or just moves sideways and moves down, what would happen is, I still think it would hit roughly this trend line, but that's where the daily 21 would roughly be at that time. And I think the daily 21 plus this horizontal would create at least a pretty good bounce. Maybe not move it all the way back up here, but that would be a good time to close shorts if you're taking on shorts in recent moments of like today and yesterday. So these two lines, the red and yellow, are pretty darn close to these two horizontals. One is a 4-hour horizontal. One's actually a stronger one, kind of like the middle of the previous two ranges. And that other horizontal is it's just under 35K, about 34.8 and 35.8 are my horizontals. Now, do retracements always hit horizontals perfectly? No, sometimes they wick past, sometimes they hit them perfectly, sometimes they don't. But the idea that there are strong EMA supports at the same place there are horizontal structural supports gives it an increased statistical chance of some form of bounce there or here. Even if it ends up making a lower high and moving down, I still think that would be a good place to close shorts, because I would fully expect to bounce off of one of these two lines. And I would rather take profits earlier than later in moves like this. So those are my targets to the downside, and these are the reasons and the way that reasons why I think I see some downside coming up, and the specific paths that I think Bitcoin will take to get there. So not a whole lot has changed since yesterday, except one thing, is that price finally hit the 15-minute 200 EMA, and it's actually reacting pretty nicely. So it's probably going to be one of these two. Since I've been making this video, that I think path one might be out. Let's go something like this. Yeah, I guess that's possible. Maybe not quite yet. But if we get up here, I bet it would be something like path number 2 is more probable. But then, it could do something crazy like this and just come down there later. But this looks like a pretty good reaction. And so what I'm personally focusing on right now is price's relationship to the 4-hour 10 EMA zoomed in on the smaller time frame to try to get an idea which way it's going to go. Especially if it's going up, I'm going to be really eyeballing this box, which levels I gave out earlier. And so the only thing that's changed from my assessment from yesterday is it looks like the move's about to happen because it finally hit that target and it's reacting from it nicely. So now's the time to be really kind of focused on, hey, if you're in short positions and you took shorts here, if you see some confidence after Bitcoin gets up in this box, you might want to let go of those. You might want to let go of some of those shorts, or not all of them, if you see confidence within this box, meaning it could move back up, past 42 to 43K. So these are the words of caution, but I still think this might flounder around and it's going to come back below the 4-hour 10, which again is drawn in here because I'm on the 15-minute chart. I think it's going to flounder, come here, bounce, try it again, bounce, and then get rejected under the orange line, which is the 15-minute 200 EMA, and I think it's going to head down to one of those two targets. That's what I'm seeing, but all three. So like what I do on my channel here is I like to show folks the 3 most probable scenarios that I see, whether that's on a short-term time frame like I'm doing now, a mid-term time frame, a long-term time frame. And yesterday's video is 51 minutes long, and I had to tag it because it's so freaking long. But I do those on short, mid, and long-term time frames. But today I'm sticking with the short-term time frames because we're actually getting some movement and some decision time here making. So this is what I'm looking for. Hopefully you found that helpful. And again, I want to be very clear with how I'm using these 2 time frames. For some reason, my brain works really well using the 15-minute chart to essentially use it as the microscope. Like I'm taking the 4-hour chart and putting it under a microscope so I can react quicker to what's happening within the 4-hour chart. Because I personally enjoy trading the 4-hour chart a lot. It's my favorite chart. But I zoom in on it with the 15-minute chart. And if you draw in your EMAs, even some daily EMAs, like don't hesitate to draw in daily EMAs and look at a crackhead time frame, something under the 1 hour, you still are technically respecting and trading off of a larger time frame like the 4-hour without getting into crackhead time frames and being ridiculous. Now, if you're futures trading or using leverage, okay, smaller time frames is kind of the way to go. But other than that's what I got for you. So we'll see how this move plays out. I will keep these lines here so we can see over the next couple days how close I was, and then we will go from there. One more thing though, the Ethereum box that I drew. Oh crap, where's my friggin' box from yesterday's video? Oh, what chart was on? Oh no. Oh, you son of a gun. I told myself I was going to leave that here. Well, my box is gone. I think. Yep, I drew a box here the other day, thinking the 200. So I'll just redraw it. So my box was right where the 200 EMA will be, and draw my box. So I think Ethereum would be in line with hitting this box if Bitcoin does move down to one of those targets. I think, the higher target, I think Ethereum would probably bounce off somewhere at the top middle half of the box. And if Bitcoin hit the 34.8 range, I think Ethereum would hit something like about $2,000. Maybe 2010 or 2020 would be my guess. So I'm actually move it up. There we go to 2,000, and this is 2,100, and I think it's going to be within this small time frame. So my Bitcoin targets on Ethereum, if you're more interested in Ethereum, that would be my targets and time frame. I think it would happen when the daily 200 hits the diagonal line, which in my video from yesterday I accidentally said horizontal when it was a diagonal. Let me zoom on this so you can see this better. So I think Bitcoin's retracement down would align with Ethereum's retracement down to this box. Because I know a lot of people who watch my channel, they like trading Ethereum instead. So that's the target for Ethereum. But right now, I strongly feel that Bitcoin is leading the market. I think Ethereum was leading it for a hot minute. And then during this run up, Bitcoin essentially took the cake and stole the show for a little bit. So that's what I got for you today. If you liked the content, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And if you're a new subscriber, after today, let me know in the comment section whether you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. I like to know which crypto pronoun that people want to identify as. They're both gender neutral. We haven't decided if they're gender fluid. Usually cryptillions stay cryptillions, but we'll go from there. And leave me a comment whether you think path 1, 2, or 3 will play out. I'm really interested to know what folks in the comment section are thinking about those 3 paths, or path number 4, but you'll have to explain it to me what it is. None of the above or something. So we'll see you from there, and see you next time.